they boldly took their stand, not afraid of the evil king or the fiery furnace blaze. Where others would have buckled, their faith in God remained. And they stood true when there was nothing left to do. They held their ground, when no earthly help was found. They knew the Lord, and they depended on His word. When there was nothing left to do, they looked to God and they stood true. They knelt to pray each day to the Lord in a foreign land. The evil man around him tried to criticize this man. Standing still in faithfulness, he faced the lion's den. When all he had was Jesus, old Daniel would not bend. And they stood true when there was nothing left to do. They held their ground, when no earthly help was found. They knew the Lord, and they depended on His word. When there was nothing left to do, they looked to God and they stood true. Stephen stood for Jesus and he boldly preached the word.